Perfect. So, welcome everyone. My name is Tamara Nenninger. I'm the marketing assistant here at DSD. I have the pleasure of being your host today. I'll be managing the chat and organizer features for this webinar. If you have any questions or want to interact with us or the marketing team here at DSD, please feel free to use the chat area in this webinar environment or reply to any of the emails that you received from us previously. With that, I also have with us John Ryder, our Sage 100 Enhancement General Manager, along with Ashley Berger, our Enhancement Sales Manager, who will also be moderating the chat during today's session. On our agenda today, we're going to start with the welcome, followed by John, who's going to walk us through the department overview. He'll then cover the acquisition of InSync, highlight the new DSD enhancements, and give a little demo. Finally, he'll unveil what's coming in 2025 before wrapping up with a live Q&A. Please feel free to interact with us through this webinar environment. We want to make this session super impactful and valuable as possible for you today. And just a quick reminder, this session is being recorded. So if you have to drop or step away at any point, no worries. We'll be sending out the recording afterwards, so you won't have to miss anything. With that, I'll turn that over to you, John.
All right, thank you, Tammy. Good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my camera so I can make this full screen. I'm joined by Ashley Berger today. She's going to assist with the Q&A session at the very end. As mentioned in the agenda, we're going to cover a lot. I have about 40 minutes or so of content. At least that's what it was when I did my trial run last week. So hopefully you guys will stick with us for the next 40 minutes. We do have a really awesome product to show you at the very end of the demo. So please stay for that. As mentioned, my name is John Ryder. I am the GM of Sage 100 Enhancements at DSD. I started at DSD right out of college. I graduated San Diego State. I'm from San Diego. So I started back in 92, so a little over 33 years. And, you know, I started as a junior programmer and then kind of moved into developing custom solutions and then creating enhancements. So some of our flagship products I designed or programmed. I'm going to start by talking about our department. So I know many of you partners have worked with us for many, many years, and you've talked to a lot of our staff. So I always like to introduce our staff to you, you know, put a face to the name. So we have myself, Kevin Coato. Kevin worked at Sage for almost 30 years in their development division. He joined us a few years back as Director of Technology. Ashley, who's joining us today, she's been with us for over 5 years. She is our Enhancement Sales Manager. And Ashley, you might have worked with her on demos or questions. She's our expert in Service Center and Instadocs, and she loves to do recorded demos. So a lot of our demos on our website, she authored those. Mary Jo Teague, I know you've worked with her. She manages our sales fulfillment. So she provides sales, invoices, unlocking keys, assists with support tickets, and so on. Ken Phillips, he's been with DSD for over 25 years. He started at State of the Art back in the Mass 90 days. He's our one of our first level support specialists. Arina Kupsova, she's one of our senior programmers out of Toronto. We have Mark Poyer, excuse me, out of California. He's also a senior programmer. This week we have a new addition to DSD, that's Steve Reese. Many of you might have met Steve. I've known him for 30 years, and he is a senior programmer. Christine Harrington is our QA specialist. She worked at Sage for many years. Tom Din, another Sage alumni. He's our system administrator. Michael Fant, who worked at McCabe and then moved to Sage, and then came to us, and he is a specialist in those extended solutions that we acquired many years ago from Sage. Caitlin Ton, she's another first level support, again, another Sage alumni. And then finally, another Sage alumni, Jeff Kaloff. He joined us in the last year, and he is our technical support manager. So that rounds out our Sage 100 development team. I always like to show this slide. It's really our contact information. You're probably familiar with the enhancements email address, so you can use that email address for anything related to a Sage 100 enhancement. So that's a sale, questions, if you want to request a demo, you need unlocking keys, or if you can put in a support ticket. So that email address goes to multiple staff here for quickest response. I'm included in that email address, so I monitor that email inbox daily. We have a second email address, and that's for custom programming. So if you want to request custom programming for Sage 100, you can use the programming@dsdinc.com email address. You could also use the enhancements email. We just kind of forward that over to programming, but those are our two email addresses. As Tammy mentioned, we're going to discuss the InSync acquisition. So back in December of last year, we acquired ROI Consulting and their product InSync. Their entire team joined DSD. So it's a separate department within our technology division. I've known Bob Richter for 30 years, and so we work together on a lot of things. Again, we acquired them in December 2024, InSync. Many of you are familiar with that product. It is really a great, powerful integration tool that integrates Sage 100 with a lot of e-commerce platforms, and it's a seamless synchronization to move data back and forth between Sage 100 and that e-commerce platform. We do, since it's a separate department, we do have separate email addresses for you for InSync. So for sales, we have InSync Sales, and then for support, we have InSync Support at dsdinc.com. Many of you are familiar with our top enhancements. Multi-currency was kind of our flagship product. I wrote that product 31 years ago. I remember having to write that. That took me about a year to write. We have Service Center, Instadocs, which has become one of our most popular enhancements for Sage 100. We have the DSD ScanForce multi-bin. We have electronic reporting. And we have a lot of products that start with multi-currency, multi-language, multi-company, and multi-bin. So these are kind of our top products. And a few years ago, we went through the process with Sage to put some of our enhancements onto the Sage marketplace. In order to do that, we had to have our products certified by Sage. So we provided them our product, they certified it, and then we were able to get it onto the Sage marketplace. So currently we have 4 of our top products on the marketplace. So you may hear from many of your users about products that they found. So we have multi-currency, Service Center, Instadocs, and multi-bin. So if they do contact you, just email enhancements and we can answer any questions your users may have. All right, so I have about 25 or 30 new enhancements to talk about today. I'm not going to be able to do a demo of every one. We'd be here for 4 hours if I did all of them. So I'm going to kind of cover some of our products in the PowerPoint, and then I'm going to demo 3 or 4 of our products at the end. The first product that we released in the last year is APCA. It's a Chase Bank ACH. So I worked with Chase Bank late last year to develop this. It's an ACH that's specific for their bank. And this enhancement adds a menu item where you can run a report that pulls all of your AP open invoices, it presents you a crystal report, shows you what it found, and then it creates a flat file that's in a very specific format that you can upload to Chase Bank in order to provide them details on making payments. Next up is a AP CI. This is one of our new products under the umbrella of multi-company. So it's AP invoice inquiry by company. So this is beneficial for those users that have multiple company codes and the vendors the same vendor number is in multiple companies. So you can be in one company, go to vendor maintenance, and you can view that vendor, all of the open invoices and purchase orders for all of the company codes combined. APDI. This is an enhancement to visual integrator imports. This is one of those features that we did custom programming for many users, and then we realized, well, we should probably just turn it into an enhancement. And it's a commonly required product because when you're doing VI imports into AP invoice data entry, if you have duplicate invoices, the business object treats it as an adjustment, where users actually wanted to reject it. They don't want to have a duplicate invoice. So we enhanced the business logic to detect that it's coming from VI, and it will not create an adjustment. It'll just reject it, and it shows up on the VI import log. Onto accounts receivable enhancements. I mentioned the APCA Chase ACH. Well, we have one for accounts receivable as well. So it's very similar to the AP one, where it will look at all customer open invoices that have ACH set up, and it'll create a flat file that can be uploaded to Chase Bank for any payments. There is an additional feature where it will also create a visual integrator import file that you can use for importing into cash receipts. ARCI, it's similar to the APCI I mentioned earlier. It's a multi-company product where you have the user has multiple company codes and a customer number can be identical in the other company codes. So you can be in one company code and press a button and look at all of the open invoices for that customer across all the companies. And you can also look at sales orders in the same way. ARTX. So many of you know that we worked with Avalara to develop the AvaTax integration to Sage 100. This is just an enhancement where we have some additional features that can be added to AvaTax. This one is very specific in that you can have divisions where you can assign a company code to a division. And then on the Avalara portal, it'll separate out all of the tax and cert capture data by company code, even though it's really within the same company, but different divisions. Okay, so I love this enhancement. We just released this one early this year. It's a multi-company product that I've been asked about for many, many years. We finally developed it, and it's multi-company cash receipts. So basically, you can be in a company code, let's say it's the parent company, and you want to receive payments for customers from other companies. So the parent company receives the cash, and then it will handle the AR side for the subsidiary company, but also handle the GL postings with due to, due from. So in the parent company, you get the debit to cash, and you get the credit to due to, right, to the subsidiary or child company. And it posts to the GL for the child company. It hits their accounts receivable as a credit, and it will then do the offset debit to the due from parent company. So this is one of those products that I'm going to demo here shortly. So with BMCR, it's a small enhancement. It's for allowing VI to import into bill of materials, gross requirement, and component report file. So you can import it and do it, and then you can go into the component report or gross requirement report, and you'll be able to see the entries that were imported in. This is actually a common product. We've sold a number of these products. All right, a lot of you are familiar with our Instadocs suite of products. Late last year, we created the lot serial Instadocs. So it does require that you have inventory Instadocs installed. So this is for attaching documents to serial or lot numbers as you are receiving in the items in purchase order, right? So the documents are saved under the inventory item, but they are tagged with the lot serial number. So you can be in lot serial inquiry and see for each lot serial number the documents that were attached to it. CIL6. So you might be familiar with our other CIEL product. It's expanded lot serial number, where we expanded it to 40 characters, right, for CIEL. Well, someone came along and they said, well, 40 is not enough. We want 60. So we created a separate product, that's CIL6, that we brought it to 60 characters. I understand that Sage development, they're going to be expanding the lot serial number in the 2026 release next year. So keep that on your radar. So this product that you see here we'll continue to sell it for older versions, but we will not carry it forward to the 2026 version and beyond. 6 decimal precision in price code. So we have CIDP, which is 6 decimal precision for quantity, costs, and price. But this one is specific to price code maintenance and inventory, where we expanded the percentages to be 6 decimal places. All right, another cool product that we released early this year, it's IMLC. It's landed cost and inventory transaction entry. So it's identical to what Sage has in purchase order. So in PO, right, you can create landed cost types, and then when you're doing a receipt of goods, you can assign on the totals tab, right, you can assign the landed costs that will be for that receipt. And then the receipt register will do the allocation to the lines as adjusted costs. So we took that feature and we put it into inventory transaction entry. Currently, we have that feature for receipts and for transfers. We're looking into extending that to maybe issues or adjustments, but it's good for users that may receive in products and PO, but they want to adjust it or make another receipt inside inventory transaction entry. So this is good for companies that now have tariffs that they're dealing with. This is a product that I'm also going to be demoing here in a moment. All right, last year we released Express Sales Order Entry. We're going to have a webinar on that very product in the coming year. I'm excited about this product. It serves many purposes. First off, if you are on Sage Partner Cloud and you're using devices other than a laptop, right? You can use any sort of device to connect to your cloud Sage 100 system, and you can use sales order entry. And we've enhanced it so that the screen can be adapted to the size of your device, right? And we also streamlined the entry. So rather than having multiple tabs that you have in sales order entry, it's a single tab for rapid entry of sales orders. It's a very user-friendly interface, and we're really excited about that product. Hot off the press, we released this in the last couple weeks. SOPP packing list for paperless office, right? So in paperless, you can have sales order printing and invoice printing in paperless. Well, we added packing list printing. So when you're doing shipping data entry, when you get to the packing list, you can do have it save into paperless office, which you can then see from the customer viewer. And then you can also have electronic delivery for the customer to deliver that packing list electronically. I'll also kind of cover this product in my demo. We also have surcharge by payment type. This is a way in Sage where in payment type maintenance, you can assign surcharges to each payment type. So this is good for credit cards where you want to, let's say you have to have a 1%, credit card charge, right, for all of the credit cards that you accept from your customers. And if you want to have that surcharge pass through to the customer, you can have invoice entry, when you do a payment on the invoice, it can detect that that payment type has a surcharge, and it will automatically add a miscellaneous charge line to that invoice for that 1% or however percent, surcharge for that credit card, right? So in payment types, you can define the percentage amount that's going to be passed through. Another new product this year is multi-company visual integrator. I've had a lot of requests for this very feature over the years, so we finally designed it and released it. So if you're doing, let's say you have the need to do an import using Visual Integrator, but there's records that cover different company codes, right? So let's say you're importing a large amount of data in the general journal entry, but you want it to go into different company codes. So we added to the VI data set, you can choose a company code as, let's say, column 1 in your import file. And it will properly switch between the company codes as it's importing in. All right, we have a production management enhancement. So now that Sage has production management, we're starting to do new products for that. PMWX is production management control work ticket explosion. This feature you have on the bill of material, you have a checkbox that we've added at the header and at the line level that says whether or not to explode it when you're doing a work ticket. So you may want to have some components explode out and others that do not. So you can kind of control that at the bill of material header as well as the detail level. All right, now the new product. This is coming soon. I'm going to demo this for you shortly. This is the product that I'm excited about. We started designing this product early this year. It's now at a point where we're demoing the product. We do have some additional features that we are adding to it, and we're hoping to have this released later this year. And it's called Advanced Custom Office. And the main feature of this product is creating user-defined tables that have multiple keys. So in Sage, you can create a UDT or user-defined table, right? But it's a single key with additional fields. With this feature, you can choose a table in Sage, like the item master file or the customer master file or sales order header file, and then build a table that's keyed off of that main table, right? So in the case of item, the key of the file could be item code, right, plus another key field. And then you can use Customizer to add a button to item maintenance, for example, that pops up a grid where you can have multiple entries for that item number. It's an exciting feature that has a lot of uses. So I'm going to be demoing that here in just a few minutes. Okay, so before we start on the demo, I just want to remind you that we do custom programming. We've done tens of thousands of custom projects over the last 40 years. And so a few years ago, we started doing subscription plans for custom programming. This is ideal for your users that have custom programming and they want to upgrade or receive support going forward after the first year. And so when we quote custom programming, we also quote you the subscription plan. We give you an incentive by offering a 50% discount on the first year of that subscription plan. And for payroll, we kind of make that mandatory because we found that users that have payroll enhancements, they have to upgrade every year to the new version of payroll that's released by Sage in December, right? So we do offer that now. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to my Sage 100 system, and we're going to be looking at 4 products over the next, let's see, 15 minutes or so. All right, so I'm going to go to my Library Master Utilities DSD Enhancement Control Panel. I'm going to just quickly show you the products that I'm going to be demoing for you today. I'm going to start with that IMLC inventory transaction entry landed costs. I'm then going to show you the ARCM multi-company cash receipts. I'll show you the SOPP paperless for packing sheet printing that we just released in the last month. And then I'm going to finish off with the product that we are excited about that we're going to release later this year, and that's the Advanced Custom Office. All right, so inventory, right? This is the transaction entry landed cost. On the setup screen in inventory, we have a new setup options. This is where you can enable the product by company code. We also have a checkbox where you can post landed cost postings to the general ledger in summary or detail. Inventory transaction entry. I'm going to go ahead and do a receipt of an inventory item. And you can see here on the header tab, there's a landed cost button. It's similar to what you see in purchase order receipt of goods. Oh, and by the way, you do have to have purchase order landed cost set up in order to use this enhancement because we're using the cost types that you've set up in the purchase order module. So here I have duty and freight and tariff, right? So I can say for this receipt, I'm doing, I have duty that is $10, and then I have tariff of $20. So this landed cost, these 2 landed costs are going to be applied to the lines that I'm going to do on this inventory transaction. So I'm going to select this item here. And then on the lines tab, you can see that we have an allocate landed cost. So you can choose which items to apply those landed costs to. All right, so I'm going to do a receipt of these 2 items. They both get the landed cost. And that's pretty much that data entry portion. When we look at the inventory transaction register, let me make this a little bit bigger for you here. You can see it's similar to the receipt of goods register that shows you the landed cost. So here below it shows the $10, $20, and then it shows the allocated landed cost applied to the item and then what the new unit cost is, right? So in the case of these two landed costs, one of them is based on quantity, which is tariff, and the duty is based on unit cost. So it knows how to allocate based on quantity, unit cost, volume, or whatever, similar to what you have in PO receipts. So again, this feature is currently for inventory receipts and inventory transfers. So if you're transferring to another warehouse, you can apply landed costs as you move it from one warehouse to another. All right. So that's it for inventory landed costs in transaction entry. Next up, we're going to go to accounts receivable, and we're going to look at the multi-company cash receipts. On the setup menu, we have two new menu options. The first is the multi-company cash receipts options, and this is where you can enable it by company code. So if you have one parent company that gets to receive cash from the other company's customers, you would just enable it right into that parent company. And then we also have a checkbox that allows you to post the intercompany postings, the due to, due from, in summary or in detail. Once you've enabled it for that company, then you can then access the next menu option, which is the cash receipts intercompany account maintenance. And you might be familiar with this screen if you have other of our multi-company products like APMU multi-company and AP invoice entry. We have ARMU, we have IMMU. This is very similar where you define what the due to and due from accounts are for the parent and for the associated subsidiary company. So here I have one for ABX, I have one for EEC company. And again, these are the accounts that are used on the postings to the general ledger. All right, we're going to go ahead and go up to cash receipts entry and see what this looks like. I'm going to go ahead and create a new batch. I'm going to do a deposit. I'm going to do it for, let's see, $200. I should mention to you that currently this feature is only for cash deposits, not for credit card deposits. All right, now that we're on the cash receipts entry screen, on the right side, we have a company code field. And so when you select that company, the lookup and validation on the customer number is now on ABX company, not the parent company, ABC. So I can look up the customers for ABX. I can put in the check number. I'm going to do $100 here. And then on the lines, the lookup and validation on the invoice numbers are off of the customer for ABX. So I'm going to go ahead and choose that invoice there, right? Now I'm going to change to company EEC. Now you can see it's now looking up EEC's customers. Again, another check number. Let's try doing a number here. There we go. $100 payment from that customer, and I can choose that invoice here. All right. So that's really the data entry, the ability to change the company code of the customer that you are selecting. When I look at the cash receipts register, there's two parts to it. There's the register itself. So I'm going to span on that. So here you can see that it displays the company code for the customer. And then when you look at the recap. So the recap, which typically does a breakdown by division, we've enhanced enhance this to do a breakdown by company code and then division. So you can see for the parent company ABC, that company receives the cash, right? And then it has the due to for the subsidiary companies. And then the subsidiary companies are displayed here. You can see their credits to accounts receivable, and then the due to, due from account offset. So when you post this cash receipt, again, it's going to go to the subsidiary company and handle the AR transaction payment posting. It's going to reduce the open invoice balance and hit history there. And then in the parent company, it's going to also handle any sort of bank rec or general ledger postings. So that's it for the accounts receivable cash receipts multi-company. In sales order, well, let me go to Paperless Office. So next up is the packing list printing for Paperless. So in Paperless Office, we have under setup a new addition to form maintenance. So here we have a new document type called packing list. So when you're creating a form setup for Paperless Office, you can choose the packing list option. For electronic delivery message maintenance, same thing. We have a new document type called packing list that you can use for electronic delivery. And then in customer maintenance, you can set up for each customer that paperless electronic delivery for packing lists. So if I move over to the sales order module and I go to the shipping and I go to packing list printing, this screen here, we've added the new Paperless Office output. It's very similar to what you'll see in, sales order printing or invoice printing, where you can choose, to do electronic delivery or PDF or whatever, right? So I'm going to go ahead and do PDF all. I print that, and it's moving it over to Paperless for me. I should note that the paperless is only for the packing list, not for the additional packing list. So we don't have Paperless Office for the additional packing list. All right, and then finally, back in Paperless Office, in the customer viewer, we have a new form type called packing list. So it'll show you the packing list that I printed. You can double click it, and then you can see that packing list that went to Paperless. All right. So that covers the SOPP packing list, Paperless Office. And now we get down to the new product, which is the Advanced Custom Office. So again, this product is in development. We're in the process of adding some more features to it. We hope to have this released later today. So the one thing we added to Custom Office menu is a Advanced Custom Office submenu. And then on that submenu, we have a program called Source Table Maintenance. We're probably going to have a file that we're going to release with the product that's going to pre-populate what you see here on the screen. And it's data files in Sage that you're allowed to link up to, right? Currently, I have one set up for the item master file. It displays the ALE lookup, which means that, I can look up to the item master file. And then there's also an associated business object. And it shows here at the bottom of the screen the key of the file. So once I've set this up, I can now create a user-defined table or a UDM, multi-key table, off of this data file, okay? So I just have that one set up. I can add a new one. Let's say I want to add one for customer. So I'm going to search for AR customer. Again, these are all the dictionaries in Sage. It detects that there's a lookup already for AR customer, so it pre-populated that. And then it also found the business object associated with it. So now that I've set this up, I can create a UDM off of this table. All right, so let's see how that works in Custom Office. So I'm going to go into UDF maintenance, right? This is Sage's program. And I'm going to create a new UDM off of the item master file, which is a common information table. So if you right click on the module, normally you see add a UDT. Well, it's still there, but we have a new entry called add a multi-keyed or UDM, right? So when I select that, I'm going to come up with what the name of the file is, right? The table. And so I'm going to have one that's color or colors, right? So I'm going to set up a table for the colors for an inventory item. And it defaults the key field name and description. I'm going to make the color code be 20 characters. And I can choose the source table, right? So I'm going to choose the CI item. Again, the source table is pointing to the source table maintenance setup, right? So here I'm creating a UDM off of the item master file. All right, the next screen that pops up is similar to what you see for user-defined tables, where I can add additional fields. So I'm going to just do a description, and I'm going to make that be a string field, and I'm going to make it 50 characters. Okay. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and click Update. And again, this is similar to when you do a UDF or a UDT. It has to go through and create the dictionary for me, and then enable that table and all of the associated company codes. So here you can see that I have a new table that's CI colors. I created one earlier today that's CI license, right? So I've got two UDMs here. All right, so for colors, once I've created that table, I can now do a number of things, right? So I can add the maintenance of the data to the custom office menu system. So I'm going to click next. I'm going to add it to the menu for all users. And now it's going to create that menu item under custom office. The other thing I can do from here is I can look at maintaining the data, right? Just like you can do with a user-defined table. All right, so this is how you maintain the data. So I have a lookup to the primary file, which is the item master file, and I can choose an item code and then add colors to it. So here's where we have the data entry for that source key. So I can add red, and I can add green to this item, click accept. Let me turn my caps lock off. There we go. I don't like that, so I'm going to make this correct. Okay. All right. So here it shows the data summary, right? And I can move to the next record with the browse buttons, and I can add blue to this item and so on. All right. So that's how you can maintain the data within Custom Office, right? So if I move back to Custom Office, you can see the colors was added to the menu. So now that I've added it to the menu, I can access the data here and maintain it, right? So you can see here, those were the entries. But what I want to do is I want to add the ability to maintain this data from item maintenance. So in Customizer selection, this is where we're using Customizer to add a button to the screen where I can maintain the data. So I'm going to go add a button into item maintenance. I'm going to add it to the additional tab, right? So it's P additional. I'm going to do it for all companies, all users. All right, so with the link button under this customizer control, again, this is standard Sage Custom Office. I'm going to add a button here, and I'm going to call this colors. And then on the link settings, we have a new radio button called UDM. And here, I can choose the UDM that I'm associating with this business object. So I'm going to click OK. Now you can see it's added that colors button. I'm going to go ahead and save everything and close out. Now in inventory maintenance, I can select that item. I go to the additional tab and I go to colors, and it pops up that same maintenance screen that we saw earlier. And here we can maintain the data and add more data here. All right, so I also have another button I added earlier for licenses, right? So you can add buttons that point to UDMs. Now, those UDMs are tables, so you can write crystal reports off of those tables. So I can do the same functionality in vendor maintenance, customer maintenance, sales order, header. A lot of the data entries, we haven't quite figured out line grids yet for sales order lines. We're kind of going to get to that shortly. But the purpose of this enhancement is allowing the user to create their own tables that are multi-keyed, that are linked to primary tables to maintain extra data that they can see and that they can report from. So before this, you would have to come to us as a developer and create the table or button entry for you. But now with Custom Office Advanced, you can do all of that on your own. So again, we're really excited about this product. And I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen. And I'm going to turn on the cameras. That concludes my demo for today. I'm joined by Ashley Berger. So we're going to check to see if you have any questions or comments that we can answer. Ashley, do we have anybody?
Yep, I got one here. So it says, in multi-company cash receipts, can you specify the bank code to post for each company in BankRec?
Ooh, no, we don't. That's the first request or thought of that. Currently, it's just the bank code that you select on the deposit screen at the very beginning. I do see the value in being able to override that bank code at maybe that check level. But currently, because the parent company is receiving in the cash, they're choosing the bank at the beginning. So we would have to maybe do that at the header level. So whoever asked that question, I'll circle back with you and talk to you more about that.
So the next one, it was about the IM landed cost. It says, does it duplicate the Sage landed cost calcs, or does it replicate our POLC enhancement?
Ooh, that's a really good question. Currently, it does what standard PO receipts does. We have had requests to change IMLC to also work with our POLC product. Now, for those of you that don't know what POLC is, it allows you to define user-defined fields at the item level that are your set landed costs, which could be a quantity or it could be a percentage, right? And then when you do a receipt of goods, it automatically pulls in that item's landed cost to the PO line, and that's the landed cost it uses. So we actually have had a couple requests for IMLC to link to POLC and use those same user-defined fields that are for the item. So that's kind of next up on our list. So whoever asked that question, I'll circle back with you and let you know where we're at with that. But that is actually going to be our next feature we're adding to IMLC.
I got another one. So ARTX, which is the Avalara Advanced, means you don't advance transaction rules in Avalara. So this one I answered. I just said the enhancement's useful for companies that want to use one Sage 100 company, one company out of Sage 100, but tracked by divisions in the Avalara's portal. So that's really what that advanced feature is doing, is you're tracking by division on the Avalara's portal side.
Yeah, so with standard AvaTax, when you define the company codes in AvaTax configuration, like ABC has its registration, ABX has its registration. You can use the same registration for both companies. And then the way our connector works is when it uploads the tax information or cert capture information, it passes along the company code that you're in. So when you're on the Avalara portal, it's associated with that company. With this ARTX enhancement, you can add a UDF field to the division maintenance and set a company code there. And then at the time of the transaction of the cert capture, instead of passing in the company that you're in, it will check that customer's division. And if there is a setting there for that UDF, it'll use that instead. So the end result is when you're in Avalara, those transactions will show under that associated company code. I know there's advanced rules in Avalara portal. My eyes cross when I think about it. So, but this is not so much tied to that part of it.
Awesome. The next one is, will Advanced Custom Office work with SQL version of Sage?
Why I never asked myself that question, I don't know. I don't see why it wouldn't. I don't believe that Custom Office differentiates premium SQL versus ProvideX Advanced. So I suppose we'll test it in a premium environment, but I don't see what the difference is. When it creates that table, it's going to create it in SQL, right? That UDM, it's going to create it in SQL, and then the maintenance of the data is really, there's no difference from a ProvideX interpreter perspective. So, but we'll test it, make sure it works in premium.
Okay. Then the last one we had is, who is the in-sync contact for sales questions? And Tammy directed them to Kim Zucher. So it's Kim
Zertucci.
Zertucci.
Yeah, Kim Zertucci. She's our sales expert for InSync. I've known her forever. So yeah, she's awesome. So Kim Zertucci. So you sent that over to her. If you have any more questions, you all have my email address, or you can email enhancements if you prefer. Please, if you could, give me some feedback on what you liked in the webinar today, and especially let me know what you think of that advanced custom office, because this is a product that has been sitting in my head for many years, and we finally kind of designed it this year, and we're super excited about it. That's the main feature. We call it Advanced Custom Office. That's really the main feature, but there's a slew of other features that we could add to the product. So if there's anything in Custom Office that any of you feel we should add to this product to make it better, please let me know. We're always looking for ideas for new enhancements or for new features for our next enhancement. This webinar to you today, we're going to try to do this same type of webinar quarterly. This one is a partner only, although we do have some end users here today, but we are planning on doing our next webinar later this year. We're going to do it to not just partners, but also users. And we're going to do it on Instadocs. That Instadocs product, we love that product, and it's really our most popular product now. And we are constantly adding new features to that product. In fact, in our next newsletter, I'll have a blog on all the new features that we've added to Instadocs in the last year. So we're going to go ahead and do a webinar. That's our next webinar, is on Instadocs. stay tuned for that, and we'll probably work with all of the partners to help market that to your users so they get to see that. And again, that's going to be later this year. Are there any other questions coming in today?
I don't have any more.
Okay. All right.
Perfect. Well, with that, I'd like to thank you and John Ashley for your guys' participation today, and thank everyone for joining us. Like John said, we are here, so if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us, and we appreciate your time and look forward to connecting with everyone soon.